I love it. If I could be transported, I'm looking forward to the time transported not on a bus, but just sort of sent.
In other words, playing is wonderful, and playing in a different venue is great. Getting from one place to another is not so much fun.
It can really be tiring. Sleeping just for a year and a half, sleeping in a different bed every night, and getting up and driving and playing and driving. It takes it out of you. But I always say I feel a lot. I give a lot of credit to the crew, who is certainly part of our family, because I'm sure they have a joy element, which is why they do what they do. But they don't have this release necessarily in the same way that we do when, we have all this exhaustion or tiredness or frustration going out on the road, and then when we get to finish it and then it's almost as if, okay, we're back at a beginning point. By the end of by the end of the tour, we're usually all fairly ready to go home. But I would never complain about it, because I'm
part of the legend about what's happened to your band. It is this notion that you went on the road. You started out at one club in Charlottesville, and then another, and then a couple of neighboring clubs, and then somebody, I guess, in Richmond saw you, heard you. But it was the word of mouth thing. And that in the end, because you did it that way, you are what you are.
Yeah, I certainly give credit to my manager and to the people that listened to us early on and spread the word with their tapes or whatever of shows.
But see, that's interesting. The tapes. Grateful Dead, people would record their concerts.
Yeah, I sometimes think that's the comparison that's often made, is maybe because of the tapes and because of that.
But you notice it because you go somewhere to perform, and all of a sudden, those kids in the audience are mouthing the words of the songs, and you're saying, How do the hell you know the songs?
That was I think it hit me the first time. We had no albums out. We'd never put a CD out. I guess it was 94, maybe. No, I guess it was a little earlier, 93 or 94. I'm not good with time at this point, but we drove up to.
The older you get, the worse you'll get.
Yeah. I should have some crib notes here. But we drove from Virginia past New York, which we played here, up to a college way up in Maine, and I can't even remember what the college was. It was a small college, and we played the show, and all the kids were singing the words, and I think even may have mentioned it to them. I'm wondering how.
And they said tapes.
And they, so pretty much it was from tapes. They'd gone back home for the summer and then gotten tapes from their friends, and that's how.
And now that you are signed with RCA, and now that you've had these extraordinary sales that I mentioned, you must know that some great performances that you remember when it was a very special night, there's somebody, not you, that has a copy of that night.
Oh, sure, certainly. There's some that pop up that I wish somebody did, that I wish nobody had copies of.
Yeah, but others that you wish you could get your hands on.
Oh yeah, and I think it's one of the reasons that we now tape all our shows, have been for a few years, really, because just in case there's a magic moment. But there was a time when maybe we couldn't afford the tapes, so we're cutting corners.
You insisted that the first album be a live performance?
Yeah.
Not a studio deal?
Yeah, our first album, it was important. There was different record companies interested. RCA was certainly the most interested. But it seemed to us that the most important thing at that point was to put something out for the fans that had already been with us for the time up till then, and not go straight to a record label and record a smooth album and put it out nationwide, but put something out that would be sort of in gratitude to those people that had been paying attention to us when we were.
Is this your decision, your manager's decision, the group's decision?
I think it was. I think all of us, with probably with the leaning of our manager too. But
what's his name?
Corin Capshaw.
Yeah, he's been with you since the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning. He was inspired by us, and I think that the reason he joined our family is because he loved the music. So that's great. And, we were his first management.
He owned a couple of clubs, didn't he?
Yeah, that helped.
But this is, and what's amazing, because you're so at the top now in terms of what you do, and everybody calls you Some call you the best rock and roll band around. There is this notion that you set your own pace, and you decided. I mean, RCA would have signed you earlier than you were prepared to be signed.
Certainly, I think we probably would have put an album out earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were smart about the way you did it. And now it works in a couple of ways. You own everything. That's good. T-shirts and all. Right? And it's your record company and all of that. And in addition, though, you were able to develop and make sure that you weren't corrupted, if that's the right word, by somebody else who thought they knew more about the music than you did.
Yeah, certainly. I think great thanks to our manager, but also us. I think we've avoided trying to throw. I'm going to repeat what you said, but trying to throw ourselves or allow ourselves to be thrown into the, onto television, onto every magazine we can get. Just try to sort of keep our heels a little bit, holding back on the overexposure, and try and let it grow more naturally with our fans. And because I think you can burn yourself out very quickly if you're suddenly everywhere. I think just let it comfortably grow. I think the pace that we've set. Well, sometimes I'm still a little overwhelmed by where it is now.
Overwhelmed?
Yeah, it's a little bit, just by the. So I guess the magnitude, I'm in denial a little bit about it, but I try. Just the size of it.
Do you fear it'll go away?
No, but I do sometimes hope that that I'll have the foresight to step off, to be able to see the end. There's a little blinking light.
That's right. Dave, it's time.
Yeah, so that I'll see it coming, then I'll step off before the train heads into the canyon.
I don't think that's going to happen, but are you in control of it now? Or is it an engine that's, Giant Stadium sold out in an hour and a half. 60,000 seats?
Yeah, it's... So that's intimidating. The most intimidating part is trying to police.
They come back and tells you 60,000 seats sold out in an hour and a half, and you're in a rehearsal and you're saying, hey, come on.
Yeah, exactly. We were the first time that happened. That's initially there was a series of high fives. I guess. Well, yeah, we did. And then all of a sudden, I think we all went blank and said, well,
what are they expecting?
Well, it's not done yet. Yeah, what are we supposed to do?
But it's now. Does it still have? And you've sort of spoken to this when I mentioned large venues and small venues. All of as fast as it's going and as popular as it is and as big as it is, when this album opened, guess where?
Yeah, very much at the top.
Number one on Billboard.
Yeah.
It opened number one.
Yeah.
You don't get any better than that.
No, it was very, very lucky, but then always hoping that the people take it home and then put it in and don't it started.
Well, some said, some critics, were not thrilled with Crash.
With the album before,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Certainly, we always have a
It's
few
okay because you may be stretching, you may be doing your own thing, and if they don't like it, then the audience might. But
but we have a lot of critics. If I read any reviews, it's usually the bad ones to keep my head
keep your head straight.
Keep my head straight.
Well, come on, you don't read the good ones, you read the bad ones?
Well, I try not to read any of them, because then whether they're good or bad, I'm trying to get people to tell me about them.
Yeah.
Or I don't try to get them.
The New York Times loved you, the Boston Globe loved you.
Yeah, I assume
the Wall Street Journal
tell me.
was so-so.
Yeah, we get some. We've had some rough ones too, and but the way I look at it is that we're doing something that we love. I'm doing something that I really love to do, and I'm certainly not. I don't think there's necessarily the right and the wrong way to do it, and I'm certainly doing my best. So regardless of what a critic says, I put my best foot forward, and so when there's malice in a critic, I sort of misunderstand that. I think I feel as though there's something that the critic has to deal with in his own personal life if there's a sort of malicious review and they're holding back music or whatever. I appreciate people taking the time to listen to it, but I'm always going to try and achieve something that I haven't before, I guess is what I'm trying.
Is there